Hello everybody and welcome to another video, and today we're going to be looking at a band that I am familiar with, I've been a fan of for many years. However, I haven't heard anything new from them in a very long time. Probably talking about I haven't heard anything new from them in about 14 years. So I was quite surprised when I saw yesterday on YouTube that they released a new single. And they had a new album coming out. I was totally shocked by that. So we're going to be looking at a band called Life of Agony. Now, there's a lot of information to go through here for people who don't know, but I find that most of this is probably quite important. It says here, Life of Agony is an American alternative metal band from Brooklyn, New York, and was formed in 1989 by singer Mina Caputo. Now, Mina Caputo was formerly known as Keith Caputo until she came out as transgender in 2011. He was also formed by bassist Alan Robert and guitarist Joey Z, or Joey Z, however you want to pronounce it. And to date, the band has released 5 studio albums. Now, that actually surprised me. There's one of those albums that I don't know about. I have the first 4 that they released. I didn't know there was a thing. Now, in 1997, after the release of Soul Searching Sun, which is actually my favourite album of theirs, it's the first one of theirs I ever heard as well. In 1997, Caputo left the band, stating that her heart just wasn't in the music anymore. So for a brief period, the band actually continued doing tours and live shows with Whitfield Crane, the former lead singer of Ugly Kid Joe, a band that I was actually rather fond of back in the day. Then in 1999, the band split, and the bassist Alan Roberts started the band called Among Thieves with former members of Biohazard, another band which, surprisingly, I actually used to quite like. Then in 2003, the original band lineup reunited and played 2 sold-out shows in New York. The popularity of these shows then led the band to take on more shows and appearances, and eventually led to them recording the 2005 album Broken Valley. Now, that's the last album of theirs that I actually heard, but there has been another album since then. In 2012, the band once again announced that they were splitting up, feeling that the new material that they were writing was being forced. It wasn't flowing as naturally to them as it used to be, and Mina, who at this point had just come out as transgender, wanted to sort of explore and pursue her lifestyle. Moving forward in 2014, so about 2 years later, the band confirmed through their website that they were once again reunited and creating new material, and performed their first live show since Caputo's gender confirmation. And then in 2017, they released their first album in 12 years, A Place Where There's No Pain. I have never heard this album. I didn't even know it existed until today, or yesterday when I did the research. And have also recently announced the release of their upcoming 6th studio album, The Sound of Scars, which is due for release in October this year. So the actual track I'm going to look at today is a track called Lay Down, which is off that upcoming album, Sound of Scars. As you will have guessed, since I didn't know of the album A Place Where There's No More Pain, I've never actually heard Life of Agony since Caputo's gender confirmation, so I don't know how they're going to sound anymore. Well, vocally anyway. I'm assuming musically they're going to sound the same. So I'm very interested to see what this is going to be like. Because, you know, in like their earlier albums, like the first 3, River Runs Red, Ugly, and Soul Searching Sun, he had a very powerful, very strong voice, and, you know, he had a certain way of singing. So I don't know how that's going to have changed now that she's gone through this transformation. So I'll be interested to see how this goes. So yes, I've been waffling on for 4.5 minutes now, so I'm very intrigued to see where this goes. So let's jump into it. So it's Life of Agony, Lay Down. Let's have a look. I'm going to pause it there briefly. Now, musically, this sounds pretty much how I expected it. This sounds like typical Life of Agony. It's actually possibly a little bit heavier, but it's got that same sort of sound to it. And vocally, it's really not that different. Obviously, having gone through this period of change, Mina's voice it's got a slightly different tone. It's got a higher, sort of more effeminate pitch to it, as you would expect. But for the most part, it's not that different, especially when it came into that chorus with the harsh vocals. It sounds pretty much as I remember. I haven't actually listened to Life of Agony in a while. But, you know, it sounds really, really good. It's a very good song. I really enjoy it so far. Musically, brilliant. Vocally, fantastic. And two varying different vocal styles with the melodic verses and then that sort of slightly harsher chorus. Sounds great. Now, the song itself, it basically sounds like standing up to aggression and stuff like that. The song so far goes, take what you want, let me go in peace, so the last thing I want is to live on my knees. The rest is up to you, there's nothing left to prove, the scars that bind us are all we ever knew. So, just those opening couple of lines, take what you need and let me go in peace, the last thing I want is to live on my knees. So it's like, just do what you have to. If you're going to bully me, if you're going to insult me, just do it and then just go away, just leave me alone, just leave me in peace, I can't be bothered with it. I'm not going to sit here and cry and worry about it. I'm not gonna let you bother me because I know I'm worth something, and the fact that you're attacking me, it shows your insecurities. Says the rest is up to you. There's nothing left to prove, which is basically what I just said. You've got nothing to prove. I've got nothing to prove. I shouldn't have to justify myself to you. You don't have to try and make me feel like a piece of garbage. And then, of course, the chorus comes in saying, won't lay down and die. Won't lay down and die. And it repeats that constantly. So it's like, no matter what you throw at me, no matter how you verbally or physically attack me, I'm not just going to roll over and take it. I'm going to stand up for myself. I'm not going to roll over and die, essentially. So, it's got a good meaning behind it. I like it so far. Good. Carry on. you go. Lay Down by Life of Agony. Now, I really like that, you know. It's, to me, it sounds so familiar, you know, because, you know, I've been a fan of Life of Agony for many, many years. You know, I've got all of the albums like River Runs Red, Ugly, Soul Searching Sun, and I can't remember the name of the other one. What the hell was it called? Broken Valley. You know, so I've got those albums. Like I said, I've never heard anything after 2011 when Caputo came out as transgender, so I've never actually heard that side of Life of Agony before, but it sounds brilliant. It doesn't really sound that much different from their earlier material. Obviously, the tone of her voice is different, but other than that, it's pretty much the same, and I really enjoyed it, you know. It's a good song, it's got a good meaning behind it as well. I mean, the song carried on, strip me of whatever you might need, these possessions never defined me. So again, it's another part of it saying, you know, you can take what you want, right? Material possessions, you know, they don't define who I am. I am me. I'm whoever I want to be. It's not up to you to change me. It's not up to you to tell me who I can and cannot be. You know, I'm not defined by what I own. I am defined by who I am inside. So, you know, it's got a great meaning behind it, and it's a very important one as well, you know, because no one has any right to tell you that the way you live your life is right or wrong. I mean, obviously, if you're committing crimes, then you're doing something fundamentally wrong. But if the way you live your life is perfectly within the confines of the law, no one has any right to tell you how to live your life. No one's got any right to bully or attack you for the way you live your life. And everybody knows, you know, after I do my videos, I talk about Sophie Lancaster Foundation, which pretty much upholds this very belief that everybody has the right to be an individual. Everybody has the right to be who they want to be. You know, you shouldn't just roll over and, you know, let people attack you and beat you and take advantage of you just because they think that you're wrong. You know, everybody's got the right to be an individual. No one has the right to tell you otherwise. So be who you want to be proud of who you are, and fight to stay that way. You know, don't let people beat you down and tell you otherwise. And that's essentially what this song is talking about. Of course, the song carried on then, the rest is up to you, there's nothing left to prove, the scars that bind us are all we ever know, and then it goes into that chorus, won't lay down and die, won't lay down and die, and it repeats that over and over again. Then it goes back into that bridge bit, the rest is up to you, there's nothing left to prove, the scars that bind us are all we ever knew, won't lay down and die. Now, I will say, you know, the writing of the song, whilst it sounds great, it does seem a little bit like, you know, I'm not, just because I'm a fan of the band, I'm not gonna say all hails and praises to them. The song is written a little bit lazy, really, if you think about it. There's only 8 lines out of the entire track that are actually different. You know, you've got the first 4 lines. You take what you want, let me go in peace. The last thing I want is to live on my knees. And then you've got the strip me of whatever you might need, these possessions never defined me. Those are the only 4 lines in the entire song that are different. The rest of it is either the rest is up to you, there's nothing left to prove, the scars that bind us are all we ever knew. That's repeated 3 times. And then you've got the chorus, won't lay down and die, which, I mean, per chorus that's repeated 1, 2, 3, that's repeated 4 times. Except in the last instance where it's repeated, that line is repeated 8 times. So it's a little bit lazy writing, or what I call lazy writing, because they've not really put a huge amount of thought into the rest of the lyrics. But the song still has that important meaning behind it. So, you know, still a good song, really catchy song. Pretty heavy, actually. You know, it still sounds typically like Life of Agony, how I remember them from the earlier albums, except the vocal style. You know, and even so, it still fits, it still works, it doesn't sound that vastly different. So, yeah, I really, really like that. I'm actually looking forward to when that new album comes out, and I'm going to have to find the that other album where there's no pain, or whatever it was called. Or Where There's No More Pain. Yeah, A Place Where There's No More Pain. I'm going to have to find a copy of that album as well. So yeah, very interesting. I'm glad that sort of popped up yesterday, because I actually got really excited when I saw it. I was like, oh, what? Life of Agony? What the bloody hell's going on? I haven't heard of them in years. And, you know, find out that they're releasing a new album, I got actually pretty excited, and quite rightly so, I think, because I really liked that. But anyway, I'm going to leave that as it is for the time being. If anybody would like to suggest a track for me to react to, then please do so by all means. You can drop a comment in the comment section below, or message me on my Facebook or my Instagram, or you could even message me through my Patreon, where you could also help to support this channel, help me create future content, maybe even improve the quality of future content. I will say, though, if you do make a suggestion, it might take a while for me to get around to it. I get suggested so many new tracks every single day that my list of tracks grows faster than I can record them. But I do write down every suggestion I get, so it will get done eventually. It's just going to take me a while to get around to it, unless it's a song that's already been suggested previously, then I might get to it sooner. Also, Metalhead Reacts is a proud supporter of the Sophie Lancaster Foundation, a British-based charity whose main goal is to put an end to hate crimes, most specifically hate crimes involving people of the alternative culture. And this is something I find very important. I spoke about it earlier in this video, that, you know, people are getting violently attacked for listening to alternative music purely for the fact that they don't fit in. They're different. They look different. They listen to different music to the masses, you know, just because we choose to be individuals, just because we don't choose to, you know, follow the herd, as it were, because we stand out, people think that we're essentially a viable target. You know, it's acceptable to attack us verbally and physically just because we're different. And you know, it's not acceptable by any stretch of the imagination. There is no reason to attack someone for being different. There's no reason to attack someone for standing out. They have the right to be an individual. They have a right to be who they want to be. If they want to listen to alternative music, so be it. The music that they listen to does not affect your life in any shape, way, or form. If they choose to wear alternative clothing, so be it. You know, what they wear does not affect your life in any shape, way, or form. If you don't like what they're wearing, don't look at it. It's really quite simple. You know, if there is someone with alternative clothing in your eyeline and you don't like it, the simplest thing to do is shift your gaze. You know, you move your line of sight slightly to the side. You've got infinite directions you can look in, and it's not a problem anymore. You know, don't like it, don't look at it. It's very simple. But none of these are reasons to attack someone. None of these are reasons to verbally or physically abuse someone. But this happens every day, because I don't know. You know, it doesn't make sense to me. You know, it's ridiculous. It's stupid. It doesn't accomplish anything. The only reason people seem to want to do it is just to show off in front of their mates, like, I beat up this goth, I beat up this mosher, whatever. You know. And that seems to be the only reason behind it. You know, there's no justification anybody can offer as to why it's an okay thing to do, because it's really not, you know. And it's like the thinnest excuse. It's like, why did you attack that person? They were a goth. Yeah, well, what did they actually do to you? Nothing. You know, everybody looks at the alternative / metal community as like aggressive and violent people, but we're really not. If anything, we are a lot nicer than the vast majority of people. You know, these people who listen to like hip hop and chant music, more often than not, you go out into a town centre and you will find them fighting late at night after several pints of Stella, beating each other up outside because one person looked at the other slightly differently. You know, whereas if you actually go to like a metal gig, you know, if you go to an alternative concert, like say, for example, Napalm Death were playing, and yes, we have mosh pits, although mosh pits today aren't proper mosh pits. They're just people running around punching each other these days, and that's not a proper mosh pit. But anyway, regardless of how the mosh pit is performed, you will always find if someone gets knocked over, everybody will help them back up again. They won't just trample all over them. They won't sit there and kick them and beat them whilst they're on the floor. They will help them back up, make sure they're okay, and then carry on. You know, the metal community is united. They are friendly. They are nice to one another. You know, even if you don't like a band that they like. I mean, I can't stand Iron Maiden. I can't stand Pantera. You know, can't bloody stand them. But I'm not going to, like, sit there and insult someone because they like it. You know, if they want to listen to it, that's fine. Doesn't bother me. You know, if it's playing, you know, I'll tolerate it. You know, I won't go out of my way to listen to it. But if it's playing, I'm not going to sit there and bitch and moan and complain until it gets turned off. But I think I've gone a bit off track here. But basically what I'm saying is, like, you know, everybody views the alternatives as the violent aggressors, but we're not. We're passive beyond all comprehension. You know, people look at people like me, you know, beard, piercings, I normally wear a leather jacket. They look at me and they look scared. But if they actually got to know me, if they got to speak to me, they'd know that I'm one of the softest people in the world. I prefer, well, I think I've gotten into maybe 2 fights in my entire life. You know, other times I've been jumped and had 10 shades kicked out of me, but, you know, I prefer to avoid conflict. I would rather talk to someone. And the amount of people, and I'm actually going to go on this, people have commented on my YouTube videos, and I even got one just last night saying, I watched your video expecting to hear a voice like Hulk Hogan, and you sound more like someone out of Downton Abbey. You know, I'm not saying that was like an aggressive or an insulting thing to me, but that's the way people sort of view me. Is they look at me, they think I'm going to come across as this sort of big, brutish, sort of grr sort of person, whereas in reality I'm actually very nice and very polite. I mean, actually an incredibly shy person, believe it or not. And, you know, it's just the way people perceive you, and, you know, it's wrong. And anyway, I've completely gone off track of what I was talking about. Where was I? Oh yeah, I was talking about people getting violently attacked, as I was saying, you know. But, you know, we get attacked regularly, almost daily, because of the music that we listen to, because of the way we dress, and it's unacceptable. And I mean, some of these attacks are so vicious. You know, we're getting attacked by groups of people at a time. You know, like if you take into account the situation with Sophie Lancaster and Rob Maltby, these 2 people, I think they're about 20, 21, walking home, minding their own business, were set upon by a group of 5 or 6 people. 5 or 6 people started violently attacking, beating, punching, kicking these 2 people. Whilst they were on the ground, their heads were stamped on. They were kicked so violently that they both ended up in comas. And why were they attacked? Because they were dressed like goths, because they listened to alternative music. That was purely and simply the only reason why they were attacked. You know, they hadn't even spoken to these people before. They didn't know these people. They just, you know, these people just thought, I don't like the way they're dressed, gonna beat them up. And it's unacceptable. You know, and the fact that Sophie Lancaster died from her injuries because of this, it's sickening. You know, this girl was essentially murdered just because she liked alternative music. And, you know, we can't allow that to happen anymore. And this is exactly what the Sophie Lancaster Foundation is all about. They want to put a stop to this. They don't want to see another family go through what they went through when they had to watch their daughter slowly die over the course of 13 days while she was in a coma. That she never woke from. She never even opened her eyes. In that 13 days, she just laid there and slowly died. And it should not be allowed to happen again. So if you'd like to find out more about the Sophie Lancaster Foundation, you can pop over to their website. There's a link in the description below. Pop over to their website, find out what they're working on at the moment, find out what their goal is. They can explain it a lot better than I can. And, you know, if you can help them out in any way, even something as simple as one of these wristbands or even like a small donation through their website. They've got a web store as well where they've got loads of really cool merch. If you can help them in any way, the smallest amount can make the biggest difference. And the sooner we bring more attention to this, the sooner we can help to stamp out prejudice, hatred, and intolerance everywhere. But I'm going to leave that as it is for the time being. Thank you all very, very much for watching. See you again soon. Bye bye.